3 days of pre-season testing in Bahrain have given us a first real glimpse into the 2024 Formula One grid. While some teams played it safe, others showed their full hand. But the biggest buzz? Ferrari. With 2 weeks before the first race in Australia, rumours are swirling that the Scuderia is preparing something big, something that could shake up the entire championship battle. Early impressions of the SF25 showed promise, but Ferrari's braking stability was a major talking point throughout testing. The car was fast, there's no doubt about that, but in some key sections of the track, it struggled to match the precision and control of McLaren's MCL39. That's where their upcoming upgrades come into play. Ferrari engineers have already begun refining their front-end stability and aerodynamics, and insiders claim these changes could give them an edge, especially at a track like Melbourne's Albert Park. Sources suggest that Ferrari's first big upgrade package is focused on 2 key areas: a forward-shifted centre of gravity to enhance turn-in response, and a new rear wing design aimed at improving balance and reducing drag. If these adjustments work as expected, Ferrari could steal an early season advantage, a crucial factor in any title fight. We have a strong baseline, but of course, we are always looking to improve. We understand where we need to work, and we have solutions coming very soon. So will Ferrari's upgrades be enough to jump ahead of McLaren and Red Bull? And more importantly, can they avoid the setup struggles that have cost them in past seasons? That's the million-dollar question. But one thing is certain, Ferrari isn't playing it safe. With just 2 weeks before lights out in Melbourne, every small adjustment could be the difference between leading the pack or playing catch-up. And with an eager McLaren looking stronger than ever, Ferrari can't afford to miss their mark. So, just how good is the MCL39? Let's break it down. Norris completed 57 laps with incredible consistency and pace, establishing McLaren as the early frontrunner. Their MCL39 appeared perfectly balanced in cooler conditions with a particularly strong front axle, a continuation of the form that made them championship contenders last season. Oscar Piastri also showed impressive pace in his runs, confirming that McLaren's performance wasn't just a one-driver anomaly, but rather a testament to the car's fundamental strengths. But what about Ferrari? The SF25 has shown flashes of brilliance, but also some concerning issues. Let's break it down. The most obvious problem appeared during braking, where Ferrari was several kilometers per hour slower than the McLaren. The team also struggled with initial setup, making it difficult to unlock the car's full potential. We saw both Leclerc and Hamilton making multiple setup changes throughout the testing days, with engineers constantly adjusting front wing angles and suspension settings between runs. But here's where it gets interesting. Ferrari has made the most significant conceptual changes of any top team over the winter. The front axle received the biggest adjustments, with a critical shift in the centre of gravity moving forward. This is exactly what Ferrari needed after the issues that plagued them last season, particularly the understeer problems that limited their performance on technical circuits. If we look back at 2023, Ferrari struggled enormously with tyre degradation and front-end grip issues that directly related to their car concept. The SF24 showed improvements in this area, but the SF25 represents a complete philosophical shift, with every aerodynamic surface redesigned to maximise the car's new weight distribution. Now, Bahrain and Melbourne are completely different beasts. Bahrain is rear limited, meaning the rear tyres take more punishment, while Albert Park is front limited. This is crucial to understanding why Ferrari might make a dramatic leap forward in Australia. Looking at historical data, Ferrari has typically performed better at Albert Park than in Bahrain. The technical, flowing nature of the Melbourne circuit rewards cars with strong front-end performance and good change of direction. The SF25's new design philosophy specifically targets these characteristics. Vasseur himself pointed out, "This year we will go from the 10 to 15 degrees we found on the track here to the 45 we will have in Australia. It could be that in Melbourne it will be a completely different story. What's significant here is how temperature affects the SF25's performance window. Ferrari's data suggests their car operates most effectively in warmer conditions, when the front tyres can reach their optimal operating temperature more quickly. Ferrari's forward-shifted centre of gravity gives them a favourable tendency on front-limited circuits like Melbourne. What was a weakness in Bahrain could become their strength in Australia. This isn't just speculation, it's backed by the aerodynamic data collected during testing. Now let's get to the juicy part. Ferrari's upgrade package that's reportedly on the way for Melbourne. According to our sources close to Maranello, Ferrari has been working on these upgrades since their first simulator tests back in January. They weren't caught off guard by the Bahrain issues. They were already developing solutions. The team's technical director, Enrico Cardile, hinted at this strategy during the SF25 launch when he mentioned they had kept some development powder dry for the early races. What's particularly interesting is how Ferrari has restructured their development program this year. Under Vasseurs' leadership, they've become much more strategic about when and where they introduce upgrades. Rather than bringing small incremental updates to every race, they're focusing on larger, more comprehensive packages at key points in the calendar. Ferrari's SF25 is a completely different philosophy from last year's car. They've focused on 1. Increasing aerodynamic load, particularly at the front of the car. 2. Improving efficiency across a wider range of speeds. 3. Shifting the load centre forward to address their historic understeer issues. 4. Creating a more adaptable platform that can be fine-tuned for different circuit characteristics. 5. Optimizing suspension geometry to better preserve tyre life, which was a critical weakness last season. In Bahrain, Ferrari ran with a medium downforce wing that was much lighter than what Red Bull and Mercedes were using. This strategic choice actually made their car look worse than it truly is. They were essentially testing their baseline configuration while their rivals were already maximizing downforce. This approach reveals a lot about Ferrari's testing philosophy. Rather than chasing headline times, they focused on understanding the fundamental behavior of their car. Remember when Ferrari topped the timesheets in pre-season testing last year, only to struggle when the season actually began? They've clearly learned from that mistake. The driver pairing of Leclerc and Hamilton could be Ferrari's secret weapon in this development race. Leclerc's intimate knowledge of Ferrari's past cars gives him unique insight into how the SF25 has evolved, while Hamilton brings his experience from Mercedes, a team that, like Ferrari, has been working to overcome ground effect challenges. Leclerc completed his full testing program on day 3, focusing particularly on long-run pace and tyre management. Hamilton's running was unfortunately hampered by a damaged part, but even in his limited running, he provided valuable feedback that complemented Leclerc's data. Vasseur specifically mentioned how Hamilton's fresh perspective helped identify areas for improvement that might have been overlooked otherwise. What's fascinating is that even with these issues, the fundamental pace of the SF25 wasn't questioned by insiders. The raw speed is there, they just need to unlock it with proper setup and balance. The telemetry data showed competitive sector times when the car was hooked up properly. It's just a matter of finding consistency. Right now, in Maranello, engineers are poring over this data and working on the simulator to optimize the car for Melbourne. They're in a race against time to ensure Leclerc and Hamilton have a car that can fight at the front from the very first race. The factory is reportedly operating around the clock, with the production department manufacturing the new upgrade components for air freight to Australia. Of course, we can't ignore the competition. McLaren looks formidable. They're basically continuing where they left off last season with a highly efficient aerodynamic platform. The MCL39 builds on the strong foundation of last year's car, with particular improvements to their DRS effect and slow-speed corner performance. Andrea Stella, McLaren's team principal, has been cautiously optimistic in his assessment, stating that while they're pleased with their testing performance, they're not taking anything for granted. The team has been burned before by strong pre-season showings that didn't translate to race pace, but the biggest unknown is actually Red Bull. The RB21 showed minimal external changes from its predecessor, but they've been working extensively on cooling solutions under the hood. These modifications address the overheating issues that occasionally hampered their performance in hot races last year. Curiously, neither Verstappen nor Lawson completed a full race simulation in Bahrain, unlike last year. Are they hiding their true pace, or are they struggling with the new car? With Red Bull, you can never be sure if it's genuine or just part of their psychological game. Mercedes, with Russell and the rookie Antonelli, made steady progress throughout testing. They completed more laps than anyone else, over 400 in total, but Russell himself admitted it would be difficult to match the leader's pace initially. Their W16 may continue struggling in slower corners, exactly where Ferrari's new design should excel. Let's get a bit more technical about Ferrari's reported upgrades. What exactly are they changing? The Scuderia is believed to be bringing a revised floor to Melbourne that will better complement their front suspension philosophy. This could dramatically improve the car's balance and eliminate the braking instability we saw in Bahrain. The new floor design reportedly features modified edge details and revised venturi tunnels that generate more consistent downforce through varying ride heights. They're also rumoured to be introducing modified brake ducts and a revised diffuser exit, both critical for managing airflow and increasing downforce without sacrificing straight-line speed. These components work together as a system, channeling air more efficiently around the rear of the car and reducing turbulence that can rob performance. Another key area of focus has been the suspension settings. The SF25's pull rod front suspension gives engineers more options for tuning the car's mechanical grip, but it also requires a more precise setup. Sources suggest Ferrari has developed new suspension software that will help them find the optimal settings more quickly at each circuit, addressing one of their weaknesses from Bahrain. So where does this leave Ferrari for the Australian Grand Prix? If their upgrades work as intended, and if the track characteristics play to their strengths, we could see Ferrari challenge McLaren for victory right from the first race. The higher temperatures in Melbourne should also help them activate their tyres more effectively in the front limited sections, potentially giving them an advantage in qualifying. Albert Park's combination of medium-speed corners and short straights could be the perfect showcase for the SF25's improved front-end grip and aerodynamic efficiency. Sections like the fast chicane at turns 11 and 12 should highlight the car's strengths, while the resurfaced track offers better grip than in previous years. The stage is set for what could be one of the most competitive F1 seasons in recent memory. Ferrari has made bold changes, McLaren has built on their late 2023 success, Red Bull remains the defending champion with Verstappen at the peak of his powers, and Mercedes is determined to bounce back after 3 difficult years. The Australian Grand Prix will give us our first real answers. Will Ferrari's upgrades deliver the breakthrough they need, or will McLaren continue their testing form and establish themselves as the new team to beat? Can Red Bull maintain their dominance despite the relatively conservative evolution of their car? Whatever happens, we'll be right here breaking it all down for you. What do you think? Will Ferrari surprise everyone in Melbourne? Drop your predictions in the comments below. If you enjoyed this analysis, hit that like button and subscribe for more F1 content.